Hello everyone, welcome to The Old Man and the Read. My name is Jerry. Today I'm going to discuss the books I've read by one of the more highly regarded writers of our modern time, Mario Vargas Llosa. Mario Vargas Llosa was a Peruvian novelist and essayist. He was born in 1936. Just very highly regarded. He actually won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1990. But he was also a politician of sorts for a while in Peru. He actually ran for the Peruvian presidency in 1990. But that combination of just wonderful writing and politics became a subject for a lot of the books he wrote, mostly about the politics of South and Central America, but provided him with a real treasure trove of topics to talk about. So the first book he published, that I believe it's the first book he published, was published in 1968, and this is The Green House. Now, The Green House was a brothel in a small Peruvian town. It was situated between the desert and the jungle. But it's a town full of lots of unsavory characters. Most of them are corrupt, including the nuns. But the story is basically about the abuse of women and trafficking, and about the exploitation of the Indian tribes. The next book that I have, that was published in 1978, is Captain Pantoja and the Special Service. This is a humorous tale about Captain Pantoja, who has set up a brothel for the Peruvian army in the Amazon basin. The next book I have, published in 1982, is Aunt Julia and the Scriptwriter. And this has been characterized as semi-autobiographical. I'm not sure what part of it is semi-autobiographical, because it seemed pretty fictional to me. But anyway, it's about a young student named Merito who has an affair with his older Aunt Julia. That story alternates with another story done chapter by chapter. The other is about a radio scriptwriter named Pedro, who is writing a very racy soap opera that is being listened to by the city residents, enthralling them. In 1984, he published The War of the End of the World, and this is one of my favorite books by Mario Vargas Llosa. This is actually based on a true historical event in Brazil, and it's about an apocalyptic movement led by a very mysterious prophet. And this takes place in a little town out in the Amazon called Canudos. But the government becomes very suspicious of the movement, and so sends out an exhibition of troops to take care of it. That's unsuccessful. There's another assault made, and that's unsuccessful. And then a third assault is conducted, and this met with success, and it also led to the cult slaughtering its own people. In 1985, he published The Real Life of Alejandro Meta, and this is the story of an idealist who tries to inspire a communist revolution in the 1950s Peru. But in spite of his idealism, he's pretty poorly equipped to lead a revolution, and that's where the story starts from. In 1985, he wrote Who Killed Palomino Molero? And this is about a young man who is brutally tortured and murdered, and two detectives are sent to investigate, Lieutenant Silva and his partner Lituma. And they set out to solve the case, and there's some really interesting twists in the story. In 1989, he published The Storyteller. This is told as if by the author himself, and it's about him talking about a friend of his, a man named Saul Zarates, and he believes that he has seen spotted a photograph of Zarates as a storyteller in an Amazon tribe, and the story follows two narratives. The first is about the author talking about Zarates, and the second is as the storyteller telling mythical tribal stories. In 1996, he published Death in the Andes, and this is a story of a series of mysterious disappearances that involved the Shining Path guerrillas. In the book, there's a reappearance of the detective from Who Killed Palomino Molero, Lituma, and he is sent to investigate the disappearances. In 2001, he published The Feast of the Goat, another one of my favorite books by Vargas Llosa. But this is set in the Dominican Republic, and it is about the assassination of Rafael Trujillo. This is told through three separate narratives. The first one features a woman named Urania Cabral, and she has returned to her homeland after being gone for many years. Second narration is about the conspirators themselves who plot the assassination. And the third narration is told from the viewpoint of Trujillo, referred to as the goat in the book, who he's basically trying to justify the carnage and abuse he placed upon his own people. In 2003, he published The Way to Paradise. This is another story in two narrations. The first follows a woman named Flora. She's the daughter of a Peruvian, and this takes place in the mid-1800s. But she is involved in recruiting people and organizing for a workers' union, and she is actually regarded as one of the founders of feminism. The other narration follows her grandson, who was Paul Gauguin, who had abandoned his family and moved to the South Pacific to paint. In 2007, he published The Bad Girl. This is a story about a young Peruvian who falls in love with a mysterious Chilean girl. She does not reciprocate his feelings and soon disappears. Then, when he has grown to adulthood, he moves to Paris and he happens to run across her again. The same thing happens. He falls in love and she disappears, only to reappear a few years later. In 2015, he published The Discreet Hero, and this follows the owner of the wealthy owner of a trucking company who is being extorted for protection money. He refuses to pay, and this leads to the kidnapping of his mistress. Meanwhile, there's another story about a wealthy insurance executive who becomes embroiled in a dispute between a friend and the twin sons. In 2018, he published The Neighborhood. This takes place during the time of the presidency of Fujimori in Peru. But it's about a wealthy man who is being blackmailed with sexually explicit photos of him in an orgy. And the last book I have was published in 2019, and this is Harsh Times. And this is a fictional retelling of the Guatemalan coup that unseated the democratically elected president, Jacoby Arbenz. He had wanted to give away parcels of land to his people, but America saw this as communism, and so set out to set a plot to unseat him. And they were also protecting an American company, the American-owned company, United Fruit Corporation, that pretty much controlled the banana industry, and but they had never actually paid. They'd been in business for decades and never paid any taxes to the country. Those are the books I've read by Mario Vargas Llosa, an exceptional writer, wrote some very interesting stories. So I want to thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on another video. Thanks.